I still remember that night as if it were yesterday, the moment I first heard a voice whisper my name from within a dusty, forgotten box. My hands trembled as I held the faded label, Archive 1978. I had no idea that this single tape would pull me into a nightmare that would forever haunt my soul. My name is Marcus, and what I'm about to tell you is my own descent into terror, a journey into a silent archive of lost tapes and memories that no one was meant to uncover. I never imagined that searching for remnants of the past would lead me here, to a cursed location whose history was as dark as the images recorded on these tapes. It all began on a chilly autumn evening. I'd been combing through old storage rooms in the back of a derelict municipal archive, a place where dust and decay had replaced human warmth. The building reeked of damp mold and old paper, the floorboards creaked beneath my every step. I was drawn inexplicably to a battered wooden cabinet tucked away in a dark corner. I opened it, and there they were, dozens of old VHS tapes, their labels scrawled in faded ink. Each tape promised a story, a fragment of a past lost to time. The silence in the room was deafening, broken only by the intermittent drip of water echoing off cold stone walls. I remember my heart pounding as I pulled one tape from its shelf, a tape marked Cursed Level 1. I felt an odd mix of dread and curiosity, as if the tape itself beckoned me to learn its secrets. I set up an old projector in the archive's screening room, a relic with peeling paint and a faint smell of burning ozone. With trembling fingers I inserted the tape. At first the footage was mundane, a slow pan across an abandoned industrial complex. The halls were empty, the walls stained with years of neglect, and an eerie hum of distant machinery filled the silence. Yet, even then, something was off. In the background I noticed a shadow that shouldn't have been there, a fleeting shape, too tall and too distorted to be human. I felt a chill crawling up my spine. My rational mind insisted it was a trick of the light, yet my gut screamed that I was witnessing something supernatural. After that first viewing, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd trespassed on something forbidden. I began keeping a journal, recording every detail of what I saw and felt. Each night I replayed the tape in my mind, over and over, until its images invaded my dreams. At first, I tried to dismiss these feelings as mere anxiety, but as the days passed, the unease grew into a gnawing terror. Driven by an obsession I couldn't explain, I began watching tape after tape. The next tape was labeled Cursed Level 2. I hesitated, knowing that I might be opening a door I could never close. As the tape played, the images grew more disturbing. The halls on screen were the same, yet now I saw subtle changes, doors that moved on their own, and strange, almost imperceptible whispers that seemed to emanate from the walls. I felt as if the tape was speaking directly to me, telling a story of unspeakable tragedies, of lives lost in an endless cycle of torment. I began to wonder, were these tapes documenting a real event, or were they fabrications of a disturbed mind? I couldn't decide, and that uncertainty festered into dread. The further I delved into the archive, the more I uncovered. One tape, labeled The Archive's Secret, featured footage of a small room lit only by a single sputtering bulb. There, in the corner, was an old journal, its pages filled with desperate scribbles and warnings. I replayed the tape over and over, every time I noticed a peculiar detail, a dark figure lurking behind me in the background, always just out of clear view. Then came the twist that shattered my understanding. As I continued watching, the footage began to change, almost as if it was reacting to my presence. The lights in the room on screen dimmed further, and I heard a voice, a distorted, static-filled voice that said my name. I froze. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Was it possible that the archive was alive, that these tapes were more than mere recordings, but warnings meant for someone, me? I made the fateful decision to follow the clues the tapes provided. In my journal I noted a reference to a location, an abandoned factory on the outskirts of town. The tape insisted that the archive's origin lay there, that the cursed events began in that very place. I ventured there alone, guided only by the haunting images from the tapes. Every creak of the floor, every gust of wind, and every distant sound felt amplified, as if the building itself was whispering secrets of the past. Inside, I found remnants of old equipment and a room filled with discarded VHS tapes. My heart raced as I realized this place was the source, a nexus of terror that had birthed the archive. Then, in a moment of pure, unadulterated horror, I witnessed the inexplicable. A spectral figure drifting down the corridor, its form shifting like smoke. I chased after it, desperate to understand, until it vanished into a wall of static. I felt both anger and sorrow, a deep personal loss I couldn't yet comprehend. And then a final message echoed in my mind, almost as if the archive itself was speaking, "Your curiosity will be your undoing." I left the factory that night with more questions than answers. Every tape I had watched, every horrifying image now led to one unsolvable mystery. Who or what was behind the archive? And why had it chosen me to bear witness to its secrets? I still find remnants of that night in my dreams. A distorted, unending loop of the factory's corridors, the spectral figure, and that final ominous whisper. I recorded everything in my journal, but even now, I hesitate to reread those pages. I fear that the more I dwell on it, the deeper I'll be pulled back into that darkness. I've changed since that night. I no longer see the world as ordinary. Every shadow, every unexplained noise, reminds me of the archive, a silent witness to a forgotten past that still haunts the present. And I can't help but wonder, will you ever be able to forget what you once saw? I share this story not as a boast, but as a warning. Curiosity is a double-edged sword. It can lead to discovery, but sometimes it opens doors that should remain closed. My nights are filled with echoes from that silent archive. I know I'll never be the same again, and I suspect that part of you listening is too. Remember, some secrets of the past are best left forgotten. This is Marcus signing off with a hope that you never find a box marked Archive 1978. If this story sent shivers down your spine as it did mine, please hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more digital confessions. Your support fuels my journey into the darkest corners of forgotten history.